Hi friends, I thought I'd try something a little different here and it worked out, so I just thought I'd share. These are sun-dried mushrooms, sun-dried mushrooms. So these are white mushrooms, are button mushrooms they're called too. You could use oyster mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms. And so obviously try to buy organic when you can. I know we can't always do that. Today's not a very sunny day, as you can tell. It was kind of my second day for drying my mushrooms, so I'm going to end up having to put them in the dehydrator. Here's, these are white mushrooms. White mushrooms are button mushrooms, but they're just smaller. The ones I usually buy to put on salads or use for cooking or something like that. Like I said, try to always buy organic. And so I had done a batch the other day. We already ate half of them, but this is what they ended up looking like. And so I'm probably, and what I did here too is you take, after you've dried them, and I'll tell you how to do that. After you've dried them, you take about a tablespoon and put in a jar, a sealed jar. You don't have to can them like, I just had this sealable jar. You put a tablespoon of rice in there, and that helps keep any moisture down. And you can put them in a jar. This is an old spaghetti sauce jar, and just cleaned it out. And I'm going to put some rice in there and end up putting the whole thing in there. But what I did is took my mushrooms on the day I wanted to do them, took them and spread them over a cookie sheet. Now, I have a screened-in porch here, and the sun shines in early in the morning, so that makes it good because I'm not worried about any birds coming along and taking my mushrooms or bugs or things like that. And also, another thing, if you had a place like there, I put them on the back porch there. I did that on the railing as well. But, as the smaller ones start drying up, if it's a windy day, shoo, there they go. So why I dried sun-dried, not just because it sounded like something cool to do, is they absorb vitamin D. So there's not too many foods that have vitamin D in them unless, it's been fortified, which that's not always so good. But they will absorb vitamin D. It's actually D2 and not D3 that we need, that our body ends up converting. But D2, so we eat them, goes through our liver, it gets converted into D3. But with the sun, they actually absorb vitamin D. So, but you can only do that for 2 days, because anything after 2 days, studies have shown that the vitamin D level in the mushroom starts going down. So you use button mushrooms, white mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, or shiitake mushrooms. The portobello, those really big mushrooms, don't work so good. They're just too meaty and they just don't dry up. You want them to, when you put them on your cookie sheet, like I said, these pretty well been dried up already. You want if you have mushrooms that are thicker, you want to cut them. So these are already cut. And so the gills are showing. So that's the underside of the mushroom. Kind of the black part, it kind of looks like. And that's the gill. And that's where they're going to absorb. So if you're putting some mushrooms down, smaller mushrooms, if you're using oyster mushrooms, make sure that those gills, that meaty, under portion is facing upwards, and so that's where the sun's going to get absorbed into. So that's pretty cool. So put them on my cookie sheet, dried them for 2 days. If they are not dry enough, and a couple of these were a little thicker and they're still a little moist, squishy feeling, I'm going to go ahead and stick those in the dehydrator for a while and let them finish drying out. The other few things I watched this on a video. So if you want the full studies and what it does and how it's converted and all that lengthy stuff, there was a lady who did a video about that, and so I have that. If anybody want that, just let me know and I can share that. But she had said, if you're going to do them and you're going to put them in a dehydrator, but maybe you're not going to do it right away, get them in your jar with some rice. Because what's going to happen, the moisture in your house is going to start absorbing here. And if you don't get them in a jar or something like that, if it's a day or two, they might actually start absorbing more moisture and actually mold. So you don't want that. So you want to get them in a container right away and get them sealed up. And then just bring them out as you use them, and you got your rice there. So these are going to go in the dehydrator, get them a little more, and they actually will do a crunch. They say, they're supposed to kind of crunch. Not really this one, a little bit, but they're still a little wiggly woggly, as I'd say. To dehydrate things, most time if you want to dehydrate them, you would just have some hot water, not very much. Put a few in there, put a little hot water in there, and then they'll start bouncing back. and then you just take them out, pat them off, and put them on your salad or use them in your cooking. If you're going to use them in your cooking, obviously if you got moisture in there, you don't need that. So just a neat way to go into the winter with some mushrooms and that are vitamin D. So they will stay up for a year, they said, and that vitamin D level will not decrease. So I thought that was pretty cool. So thought of a way to get some extra vitamin D during the times when it's not sunny out. So they say, you know, when you put them out on the ledge or in a sunny spot, wherever you're going to put them, remember the lighter ones can blow away in the wind. And so if it's a windy day, not so sunny day like this, I'm not going to get a lot of, I get the sun, but I'm not getting a lot of the heat on them that they need to finish drying up. What's the other thing I wanted to tell you? For about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, and then bring them back in, leave them in your house, and then take them out for the next day. So like I said, after 2 days, they're not going to absorb any more vitamin D. Actually, the vitamin D will start declining. So you bring them in, and if it's there, you feel like they're not dehydrated enough, get them in the dehydrator, and finish the process, and get them in some rice, about a tablespoon there, so absorbs the moisture. They do make these food grade little moisture packs. If you have any of those are great. You can stick one of those in there. Little things I found online. What else? So, I have these mushrooms. A lot of times I would just throw the extra ones in the freezer and we would bring them out, put them on pizza or something like that. But this is a pretty interesting way to put, extra on your pizza or something like that. A lot of times if you're putting some extra vegetables and things like that in your pizza, it will have more moisture, and so we'll take care of you worried about that being dehydrated. So that's a little tip I got on dehydrating mushrooms through the sun. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just wanted to share that. So you all have a blessed day. Goodbye.